Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Hello, everybody. This is a different type of stream than I've done before, so yeah. Uh, Welcome to the pudding zone. Today I'm gonna be doing cooking pudding, non-brand, box pudding. Yeah, and I'm gonna be showing you how to do it too. Woohoo! Yes. Now you'd think, pudding, that's really simple. I can make pudding, it's just pudding in 2 cups of milk. How simple can it get? And I'm gonna say, yeah, it can be that simple if you want your pudding to suck. So I'm gonna teach you how to make good pudding. Pudding that'll make people go, whoa, that's actually really good pudding. And I'll be like, yeah, that is good pudding. Bet you can't think it comes from a box. And they'll be like, I mean, it kind of tastes like it's from a box, but it's good. And I'll be like, yeah, that's fair. So, yeah. The best box pudding you'll ever eat. And I'm gonna be honest, the problem with box puddings is that they're too user-friendly. Basically, it's the problem with Cheetos. Everyone likes Cheetos, but when you eat a Cheeto, you're like, I mean, it's good, but it's not my favorite food. I don't think anyone's favorite food is something like a Cheeto or a Dorito, or like, it's because they're really, really meant for, like, every consumer. The same problem is with pudding. Pudding is meant for every consumer. It's meant for literally everyone who ever existed. So you have the pudding and you're like, I mean, it's okay. On my end, I find pudding too sweet. I'll eat it and I'll be like, ugh, sugar. But it'll be good pudding. And frankly, a lot of the time, I don't want to put in the effort of making pudding on my own. So, let's start. You're gonna need 1 packet of pudding. Just pour it in. It's a flow. You're gonna need 1 package of pudding. And then you're gonna need your milk. And of the milk, you're gonna need 2 cups, like I said, for the pudding. Or just whatever your box pudding directions say. My box pudding says 2 cups of milk. So, cup number 1. Cup number 2. Actually, fun fact, did you know that most of the world is lactose intolerant? Being able to drink milk is actually like a pretty recent development in human history for most evolutionary purposes. So, like, even if you think you're not lactose intolerant, you might actually be lactose intolerant. Because, like, I think a good 80% of the world is lactose intolerant. It's really interesting, actually. Because the only places that aren't lactose intolerant, like, as a majority, are usually ones that, like, took up, herding as a general thing that people did. So, yeah. So you're gonna want to mix these together to just get the general gist of its flavor as is. Now, this isn't going to be the thing you start with. Well, it is going to be the thing you start with. This isn't the final product, is I guess what I mean. What you're going to start with is this. Now, if you're not going to add anything else to the pudding, besides, you know, the pudding mix, I do have to say, I recommend adding this. Salt. So many people think that if you're gonna make a sweet treat, it's a good idea to just have sugar in it and nothing else. And that's such a bad idea, I don't know how to explain it. In pretty much every dish, if you just add sugar, it's not going to have any depth of flavor. And so what I like to do is add salt. That's just like a bare minimum thing. So I'm just gonna add some salt. I'm gonna say like maximum half a teaspoon of this is how much I'd say you should add ever. But like, you can add more or less. Though, I guess, oh no, my bitters. My aromatic bitters, they almost shattered. Now if you're gonna add 2 ingredients, add chocolate powder. That's the thing. This is the real money maker. This is what turns it from low cost milk chocolate to low cost dark chocolate, if you hear what I'm saying. I mean, I hope you do. I hope the audio is actually good in this. I wouldn't know. I don't have headphones on. Just the helmet of power. It gives me the psychic abilities. Just like, I know that you, yes, you currently watching, are probably very confused as to why I'm going so much into pudding. Oh, hey, it's foaming up. That's weird. But yeah. Funny thing about pudding, if you try to make pudding at home using the stuff that's using like regular cornstarch, it actually doesn't properly work. So I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of chocolate, just like, I don't know, using really hefty teaspoons. So it's actually probably closer to 2 tablespoons, but who's counting? Me. I'm counting. Okay, so I think that's enough chocolate. That's probably a good idea. And I'm just gonna mix the chocolate in. I'm gonna, at the end of this, taste it and see what it needs. Then I'm gonna just adjust it. That's the key thing with when you're cooking and you aren't really using concrete amounts like I am. You basically gotta add some and then taste it and then add some more. That's why you gotta make sure you're only adding a couple of ingredients at a time. Because if you aren't, then it'll get overly confusing, you know? And that's problematic as heck. So it's mixing up nicely. Here, I'll put it a bit closer to the camera so that you guys can see it. See, mixing up nicely. Though it's still a bit clumpy. Probably because I'm mixing with a fork instead of a whisk or, I don't know, a patented stir stick. But if I just mix it up with the fork, it'll like firm up nicely. That's not like a big problem. Another thing that's good to add to chocolate is vanilla. They go together like chocolate and vanilla ice cream. Ooh. I hear that the first ice cream was actually invented by Thomas Jefferson. I actually tried the recipe for the vanilla ice cream by Thomas Jefferson. It was pretty good, but a bit too fatty. I don't know. It was okay, I guess. Whew. Let's add a capful of vanilla. This would probably equate to about half a teaspoon. But like I said, everything here is like sort of iffy measurements, so I don't know. Probably interesting. And I'm not going to get to my weirder ingredients until closer to the end, so I don't know. Did you know that the first flavor of pudding was actually pistachio? Like, and that was a lie. First flavor of pudding? I don't know it. Why would I know the first flavor of pudding? I don't know. I lied because I don't know what to say. I'm stressed, so I lie. A thing that isn't a lie, though, is that a lot of milk actually is, like, pretty disgusting when it first comes out. Like, if you drink unpasteurized milk, you're not gonna be feeling super good. So, I've got the basic pudding mix now. I've added chocolate, vanilla, salt, and milk to my pudding mix. This will give it like a more complex and generally nicer flavor than it would have otherwise. So I'm going to try it now. I'm going to see what else it needs. It's good, but I think it could be a bit better. That's where my secret ingredient comes in. This here is monosodium glutamate, otherwise known as MSG, otherwise known as flavor squared. You put one shake of this onto any food and it will take you straight to Flavor Town, baby. You're like, oh man, I'm feeling this chicken, but I wish it tasted more like chicken. Put some monosodium glutamate on it, and your chicken will taste twice as chicken as it ever did. You're like, oh man, I'm liking this vanilla ice cream, but I wish it tasted more like vanilla. Monosodium glutamate, have vanilla squared. Put it in your chocolate, and it tastes like chocolate squared. You gotta be kind of sparing with it, though. You can't put too much in, otherwise it'll start to taste like chemicals. Really no more than like 4 or 5 shakes. I've added like 10. Hopefully that doesn't ruin it. I mean, it might. I don't know. Pudding. I could make this pudding a sin upon the pudding gods, but frankly I want it to taste kind of okay. Adding a bit more milk because this stuff seems a bit thick. This here's like a pilot thing because I want to make myself more comfortable with doing these kinds of cooking streams. Because I want to be able to show off little recipes that I think everyone would potentially like. So, yeah. I thought that pudding would be like a good introduction to that. Even though I'm probably not doing the best showmanship, I think I'm doing well. Who would know, though? Certainly not me. So I've added the Flavor Town. We've gone to Flavor Town. And, well, there's only one more ingredient on the table. Only one more ingredient in my hand. Aromatic bitters. These guys are often put into alcohol as like a way of making them taste different, you know? To add flavor to them. But, in my case, I'm going to be adding flavor to my pudding, like it's a cocktail. Except, you know, pudding. This one really, you can probably use whatever bitters you find at your own personal liquor store. I like this stuff, though, because it adds, like, let me tell you what it smells like. It kind of smells like if cough medicine were Dr. Pepper. That's my thoughts on this. Cough medicine, but Dr. Pepper. 10 out of 10. Good in any soda. So, yeah. I add like 1 or 2 squirts of that to this because I personally think it really brings out the chocolate flavor. If you don't have aromatic bitters, which I don't expect many people do, pretty much anything else is a good alternative, like cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg. This is where you get a bit creative and add whatever spices you like. Though I do have to warn people, if you're going to add spices, like cinnamon, if you're going to have your pudding immediately, I recommend adding more cinnamon than you think you need. But if you're going to be having less, if you're going to be having it like in an hour, I recommend adding less cinnamon than you think you need. Because the cinnamon will like permeate into the pudding if you just kind of let it sit there. But if you just kind of, you know, If you just let the pudding sit there, it'll permeate in, basically making the pudding taste a lot more cinnamony than it would if it was left for less amount of time. Like it's cold tea, I guess. It seems like it's probably done, so I'm gonna taste it again. Bit more salt. And a bit more milk, and then, yeah, the pudding's done. So, I've made what would be a 1-minute pudding into like a 12-minute pudding. But in doing so, I think I've made the pudding taste like, I don't know, twice as good. That's my opinion. I don't care if it's anyone else's opinion, it's certainly mine. So, I guess as I'm stirring in the last of the milk that I'm probably going to add, I'm going to go over how much of each ingredient I added. I had 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 2 or 3 squirts of aromatic bitters, 1 capful or 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Actually, no, 1 capful or 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. About a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a healthy pinch of MSG. Along with, you know, milk and pudding. So now it's just time to mix. It's really cool how pudding firms up pretty much immediately. Like, the reason for that, I'm pretty sure, is because of the modified cornstarch in it. It's also like a really good thing to add to your whipped creams if you want those to be firmer for a longer period of time, though it does affect the flavor a bit, which problematic, but not the worst. Needs more milk. I never add enough milk to these things because the cocoa powder adds a bit more of solids to it, so it needs a little bit more liquid to counteract it to get to the right pudding texture, which is the texture that instant pudding would normally be at, which it isn't at in this case. Oh, nope, that's in camera. There we are. Oh no, I may have added a little too much milk now, but I mean, it's not the worst. I'm just gonna put this into the fridge anyways, so yeah. And that's how you make your instant pudding bougie as heck. Guess I'll get you all the money shot of it now. Yeah. With just a few simple ingredients, you make your pudding taste like 10 times as good. It's that simple. I'm done. Goodbye.